This is another question about shopping. Kizzy has £20. What change does she have if she buys a basketball for £6.80 and 6 tennis balls at 90p each? Listen to the question again. What change does Kizzy have from £20 if she buys a basketball for £6.80 and 6 tennis balls at 90p each? A, £12.20, B, £8.80, or C, £7.80? What's your answer? Don't worry if you're a bit stuck. Here's the maths team with some tips.
Remember the 4 separate stages to solving a problem. Read the question. Work out the maths you need to use. Do the maths. And answer the question. Work out how much 6 tennis balls cost. Add this to the price of a basketball.
Take this amount away from £20 for the answer.
What's your answer now? The question asks for the change from £20 for a basketball and 6 tennis balls. First, we can work out how much we spend, which is 6 times 90p for the tennis balls, plus £6.80 for the basketball. We need to add these together to get the total amount spent, and then take that away from £20 to get the answer. Let's do the maths. Tennis balls first. 6 times 90p. Well, if we call it 6 times £1, that's £6. Then take off 6 times 10p, 60p, to give £5.40. Add the cost of the basketball, which is £6.80, and you get £12.20. So we've spent £12.20, which is answer A, but that's not the right answer. The question asks how much change is there from £20. So we have to take £12.20 from £20. Let's do this by counting on. £12.20 to £13 is 80p, and then £13 to £20 is £7. So the change is £7.80, which is answer C. How did you do? If you found any questions difficult, you can rewind the tape and try them again. You can practice more problem solving anytime you go shopping. Good luck with your revision. The next program is about interpreting data. Interpreting data means getting information from tables, charts and graphs. Children learn how to read tables and work out what they mean. They study bar graphs, pictograms and pie charts. Now this is something that you can help them with at home. For example, by looking at tables and charts in a mail order catalogue, or the graphs and charts illustrating newspaper articles. In these programs, and in our books, audio tapes and on the internet, we're helping you with the things you might find tricky in your Key Stage 2 maths tests. This time, it's how to interpret data. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, in the test, there are lots of questions that give you data, or information, in different ways, and you have to interpret it. That is, to work it out and explain what it's telling you. Here's a question where they give you a table of figures about the cost of stamps, and you have to work out how much it costs to send a letter. This one has a bar graph showing you the number of people who went into different shops. This is a graph of someone's temperature when they were ill in hospital. One thing they all have in common is that they each tell a story, and you have to work out what it is.
Here's a question with a table of figures. Can you help me with it?
OK, what does it show?
Well, it's a table of the number of stamps used each day in school. Then it has the days of the week and the prices of the stamps.
Let's have a good look at that table and see what it's telling us. To start with, it's got a title, and that tells you what the table is about. That's the number of stamps used each day in the school. Then it shows you the two things that the table is comparing, the days of the week across the top and the price of the different stamps down the side. So, for example, this row across tells you how many 30p stamps were used on each day of the week. 6 on Monday, none on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 8 on Thursday, and 4 on Friday. This column downwards tells you how many stamps were used on Thursday. 32 19p stamps, 6 25p stamps, 8 30p stamps, 1 35p stamp, and 12 50p stamps. So what does the question ask?
Well, it asks how many 25p stamps did the school use on Wednesday. So if I go down the column for Wednesday and across the row for 25p, then the answer is where the two meet. That's 4.
Well done. Write it in the box and get a mark. Bar graphs are another way of showing information.
There's a bar graph in this question. It's about how much money some children collected.
Let's have a good look at that bar graph. Like a table, it has a title that tells you what the bar graph is showing you. That's the amount of money they have raised so far. Then it shows you the two things that the graph is comparing. The names of the children up the side, that's the vertical axis, and the amount of money in pounds that each of them has raised along the bottom. That's the horizontal axis. Another thing to watch out for is what each division along the horizontal axis is worth. That's the scale. In this case, 1 division equals £1. This bar, for example, tells you how much money Hassan raised. To find out the exact amount, you go from the end of the bar to the amount in pounds axis. And there you can read the figure 5, which means £5. So what does the question ask you?
It wants to know how much money the children raised altogether. So if I look at each bar in turn, I can see how much money each child raised and then add it all up. So Louise raised £3. Hassan raised £5. David raised £4. Sarah raised £7. And Donna raised £6. So that's 1, 10, 2, 5. That's £25 altogether.
Now on that bar graph, each division along the horizontal axis was exactly £1, so it wasn't difficult to work out the value of each bar. It's not always that easy.
This is a bar chart. It shows you how many cars are sold over a period of 8 months. The month that sold the most cars was the 8th, and they sold just under 80 cars.
Notice how the length of the tallest bar didn't exactly line up with a numbered division on the axis, so Emma had to estimate that the amount was just under 80 cars. You often have to look carefully at the numbers on a bar graph, because very few have one division on the graph worth exactly 1 unit of measurement. In this bar graph, the numbers on the vertical axis go 0, 4, 8, 12. So each division is worth 4 people. To find out what the post office bar is worth, the line you take across ends up halfway between 20 and 24, which must be 22. Bar graphs are a useful way of showing information, and when you're preparing for your test, look out for them and work out what they're telling you. Here's a bar graph showing the money people in different countries spend on their gardens. This shows the sale of musical instruments and how much people spend on different kinds of music. You can even make bar graphs of your own on a computer from information you've collected in a spreadsheet or database. Line graphs tell a story too. Over to the maths team.
This is a Weight Watcher graph. It shows that a person weighed 90 kilograms before they started the Weight Watchers course. During the course of 24 weeks, they lost weight, but in the last 4 weeks, they gained weight.
Graph questions in the test are often about working out the story behind the graph. Try that one.
Well, it's about Gavin, who is ill. And this is his temperature chart.
And what can you tell by looking at it?
Well, it starts on the 5th of March, when his temperature is low, and then his temperature gets higher until the 10th of March. And then it comes down again and levels off by the 15th and 16th of March.
Well, that sounds like the story behind the graph, but what does the question ask you about it?
It says, estimate Gavin's highest temperature, shown on the graph. Give your answer to 1 decimal place. OK, so the highest temperature will be where the graph is at its peak. That's here.
Yes, but what's his actual temperature?
Oh, I'll run along the line to the temperature axis and read off what it says. That's... Oh, it's not by a number. It's in between 38 and 40.
But the question does say that you have to estimate.
So this division between 38 and 40 must be 39. And my line is just a bit higher than that, so I guess it's somewhere around 39.1 or 39.2.
Well, that looks just about right to me. This is a different kind of line graph. Along the horizontal axis are pounds, and at the vertical axis are dollars. Let's say that £10 are worth $15, so I can put a point on my graph here. I also know that no dollars equals no pounds, so I can put another point on my graph here. Now, if I join my 2 points together, I get a straight line which tells me the relationship between pounds and dollars. Now we've got the graph, we can use it to convert any number of dollars to pounds, or the other way round. Over to the maths team.
This is a conversion graph showing how to change pounds into dollars. To find out how many dollars are in £6, I will go across to the 6, get a ruler and go up to the line and mark out, and then I'll do the same again, go across onto the other axis, and it would be $9.
There's one more type of chart you might come across in your test, and that's a pie chart. You can guess why it's called that because it's circular like a pie, with the different amounts shown as different sized sections of the pie. The maths team explains.
This is a pie chart. It shows you how many hours of the day were spent on a particular task.